Good morning. I'm Joselyn Chapman, and today we have the privilege of welcoming Chef Aarti. Aarti is a Food Network personality known for her passion for food. Aarti continues to inspire audiences worldwide with her infectious enthusiasm for cooking and her heartfelt approach to sharing delicious recipes to her fans. Thank you, Chef Aarti, for joining us today.
It's my pleasure.
So, could you share a bit about yourself and how you began your journey cooking?
Well, I was 10 pounds when I was born. So I think I've always had a passion for food in one way or another. But I actually, when I was little, there were two games that I played. And one was journalist, where I'd take the newspaper and I'd have a camera in front of me and I would read the stories to the camera. And then the other game is like the cameras, there were always cameras in my mind, I guess. And the cameras would follow me to my bedroom and then I'd play cooking show. And so for some reason, I've been able to do both those things in my life. I went to university for journalism to do this very thing. I worked at CNN for a number of years as a producer. And then when I got married, I had moved from New York to LA to be with my husband. And that was when like the bottom completely fell out. And everything that I had planned for my life did not happen. And I wasn't working. And I was starting to get depressed, honestly, because I think I had tied my identity and my worthiness to my career so tightly that I didn't know who I was without it. And so I started to spiral. And one of the things that kind of kept me grounded was I loved watching cooking shows. I always have. My mom does, my sisters do. It's something we do as a family. And so I would go through, someone had given me the joy of cooking as a wedding present. And so I'd watch Food Network, I'd watch PBS, I'd flip through the book, I'd pick something to cook. And cooking was this place of real peace and joy for me, and it would help me feel useful because I felt useless otherwise. And I was freshly married, like just so many different identities swirling around my head, but that's how it got started. And then I went and interned at a restaurant so I could really learn what it's like to do this job. And then I started making YouTube videos. You can still find those on there. And that's where that name Aarti Party came from, was from that YouTube show. And then I tried out for this show on Food Network called Food Network Star. And you compete against incredible chefs from around the country who all want their own cooking show. And if you win, you get your own cooking show. And thank God I won. And that's what started the whole thing.
That's awesome.
That's
inspirational. Yeah. So what are some of your signature dishes and what makes them special to you?
Well, it's very funny because the way I was born in India and I grew up in Dubai and I went to a British school in Dubai. So that's why I talk kind of funny. And now I've been in the States for like 25 years. So I'm sort of all over the map. And so the way I cook is really a reflection of all those different places that God has put me. So there's Indian influences, there's Arabic influences. That I spent 20 years in California, so there's California Mexican influences. It's all kind of in there as sort of a response to this life that I've had the privilege of leading. So on the one hand, there are Indian recipes that people know me for. One of them is it's called Bombay Sloppy Joe. So it's sloppy joes with like this spiced creamy tomato sauce and pistachios, and people love that. But then it's so funny, like I've had like frat boys stop me on the street and be like, dude, your massaged kale salad is like, it's it for me. And I'm like, it's so random what people connect to, but that is to me the joy and the power of food.
Well, all the like authentic meals that you make, what are some essential tools or ingredients you always have in your kitchen?
Yeah. Well, so for me, spices are a huge part of the way I think about building a dish, the things I look for when I eat a dish, because every single culture around the world uses spices. And spices sort of originated from where I come from in India and sort of the Arab world. And so to me, just that sort of journey of why in Sweden at Christmas do they use cardamom in their sweet buns? You know what I mean? Cardamom came from all the way over here. How to get all the way over there? Like that fascinates me. And I think is sort of this common denominator between everybody. So I love to, I have a spice drawer in my kitchen that has like 80 different spices in it. And then in my pantry, I have another 80. So I'm obsessed with spices and the flavors they bring. the health benefits of them. You know, when I was little, my mom would go to the spice cabinet before she went to the medicine cabinet to figure out how to help us out. So that's probably my number one tool is spices and a sharp knife.
That's great. So
Yeah.
speaking about your past, could you share a memorable cooking moment you may have had that inspired you?
I mean, for me, it's bread. You know, I think it's really interesting that, you know, in 2020, everyone went back to trying to make bread. There's something super elemental to us about it, where like if we don't have bread, we feel like, even if we have a gluten allergy, we feel like we're gonna die, you know? And so when I was little, the bread we made is called chapati, and it's made of whole wheat flour and water, and it's flat. It looks like a tortilla. It's essentially a tortilla, which again, right? Like we're all human beings. We're all made by the same maker. We have like our brains all work the same way. And so I remember standing next to my mom and my nan and like making these chapatis and rolling them out. And the cool thing to me about that is now I have 2 daughters and I get to do that with them. And at the beginning, when they were, you know, 2 and 4, they had their Play-Doh rollers, and that's how they were rolling out the dough. And now they're using like the proper ones. But that aspect of like taking really simple ingredients, flour and water and a hot pan and your hands, and making that into a dough and rolling that into a bread, like to me, that is like the fundamental magic of cooking, is that you can take such basic ingredients and make something so transformational, you know, out of it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. So what's some advice you would give to like new bakers or new cookers to start their journey?
I think be really patient with yourself. I've been doing this for 15 something years, and I still make food that is awful, just so everybody knows it happens. I will make a dish, and you know, I just put out a cookbook in September and had to come up with 50 recipes, and there were a lot of duds. I mean, there were recipes I couldn't figure out, and I was just like, oh, I guess I just have to come up with something entirely different because I couldn't figure it out. But that's okay. I'm going to India next week. Wait, a week today, I'll be in India. And one of the things I'm really looking forward to is standing in the kitchen with my mom and watching her make these dishes that feel like total Rubik's Cubes to me. Like, I don't understand how she does this and that, and it works because I've tried it. Like, I literally just last month tried to make one of the curries that I ate all the time growing up, and it turned out awful. But because I know of all the mistakes I made, because of that failure, now when I go and watch her, I'm gonna know what to look out for, right? Mm-hmm. And then that means that I'm gonna be able to write that recipe in a way that you will be able to make it. That's huge and would not have happened if I didn't make that mistake, right? If I didn't have failure. So that's what I would say to people is I think we're so used to in this age there being tutorials and videos and everything available to us to figure out how to do something perfectly immediately. And I would say to anybody that's beginning that journey of cooking and baking or anything sort of in the culinary arts, be prepared to make mistakes, and it's okay. It's actually part of the process. You're not meant to do it perfectly right off the bat.
So to help them improve and not make so many mistakes, do you have any tips or techniques you would share to home cooks who want to improve their kitchen skills?
Just keep practicing. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of cooking is muscle memory, and a lot of cooking is very intuitive. So in a way, you kind of have to turn your phone off, maybe have some music on or something, but you really have to focus. Food sort of tells you when it's done or ready for the next step based on how it sounds, how it looks, how it smells. It's a very immersive process, you know? And so to me, that would be kind of the joy of cooking, is that it's very medicinal to our bodies, not just the ingredients, but like the simple act of cooking slows you down, helps you focus, gets rid of your anxiety, pulls you out of your depression because it pulls you out of everything else that's going on. It demands your full attention, and that to me is really healing.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing with us today. So Thank you, Chef Aarti, for sharing your expertise, your insights, and your inspiring stories with us today. It's been an absolute honor to have you here.
You did a great job, Jocelyn.
And safe travels to India.
Thank you.
Thank you. So,
Bye, everybody.
I'm Jocelyn Chapman from Viking TV.